Yes, painting in your own summer, inspired by the rotten weather. And now, isn't that a dull picture to paint from? And they're old-fashioned kind of what we used to call hayricks or haycocks, or what could you call them? Just hay. What is it? Hay bales? Well, they're not bales really. Bales came in afterwards, but that's the old way of piling up the hay to let it dry in the field. Right. Okay. So what do we have here? So I've got titanium white. I usually put that there. Nice. Do them in order because you'll keep the same order all the time because it makes painting easier that way. Cadmium yellow, pale hue. Permanent rose. Cobalt blue. I'm putting in viridian this time. I just want to have a green in there this time. And burnt sienna. So no black. Right, I was just telling my students earlier today, and all week in fact, that if you really wanted to, you could get a full, more or less a full gamut of colours with those, okay? So I use this for making my darkest darks, along with the blue, the burnt sienna, and I just fancied putting in a green, but I didn't need to put in a green. I could have got away with just using the blue, the yellow, and the red. So if you were ever, I was just telling her earlier, if you're ever in extremis, if you're in a place where you needed to earn some money quickly and you thought you'd sell a couple of paintings and you didn't have much money to buy the paints, all you need is a red, a blue, and a yellow, and a white. Okay. All right, so there you go. So I'm going to put those out. And I always put them out in the same order as much as I can. So I think I'll have to go and buy some more this weekend. Gosh, it's hard to get that out of the tube. I'm so stingy. I'll grab that out of there like that. Wipe that down on my rag. So that one for the bin. So next one is yellow. I always put them out in this order, all right? Because I think once you establish your order, stick to it because you'll always know where everything is and you'll know if something is missing. I think it's a good idea. And then when you sort of change your palette and you have lots more, maybe a warm yellow, a cool yellow, and an earth yellow like yellow ochre, you put them in the same kind of place. You work out an order for those and you stick to that. Blue, can you see it there? Yeah, blue. And I'm not using black this time, okay. Oh, sorry, I said I would do it in order, didn't I? I'm going to put the green in here. The green is kind of stuck in between the blue and the burnt sienna. Not for any particular reason, it's just that I seldom use it in any other circumstance, and I need a place to put it. Okay, so there are the colours that I'm using. All right, go to the solvent here, that's zested. Okay, so that's they call it citrus oil, really. I've stopped using terps as much as I can because I don't think it's very good for you. And the people that make this do make a medium, and so that I think it's made from maize. That's what they say. I'm not quite sure how they do that, but I'm no chemist, as I say. So let's have a look at my canvas. Right. Okay. So my canvas is a linen canvas, so it's already toned. Really, I'm not going to have to do a wash with this. Right, so what I'm going to do, firstly, I'm just going to do a drawing, okay? So I'm going to use burnt sienna for that and give myself an indication where that is. Then I'm going to... Right, so let's put in some trees there. I just don't need to be specific about those. There's bits of trees going along there. Like that. And remember, we're not after a photograph here, and you see as I go on the way I'm going to sort of play with the image. Okay, so haystack there, haycock there, and another one maybe here. There are buildings, but I'm not particularly interested in the buildings, to be honest. Okay, so another one there. There's a kind of a change in the field, so it's more hay-like up here, and then down here it's more green, and then there's a path. So I want a path there. I want the viewer to think about walking down that path. Okay, and then there's various bits of green in there. And then there's the sky, which I'm going to treat not the same way as it actually is. Do you remember, this is a dull painting, and I want to make it more than it is, to make it something I'd like to look at in years to come. So I'm going to change my brush now to this, which is a filbert. Okay, so this was a flat bright. You see, it's like a almost like a chisel blade, and this one's got rounded. It's still flat, but it kind of rounds off at the top there. Okay, so, and I think what I will do first of all is mark in those haycock parts. So yellow and red and a little bit of blue. More red there. Okay. So I'm going to put them there like that. And here and here, just so I know where everything is. And then I'm going to make a slightly brighter one, more yellow one, just for behind them, so I don't forget where those things are. Okay, so, and I will be using very much broken color in this, and this path coming up here like that. So I'll get those stated in my painting so that I don't forget where they are. In fact, also this area here is kind of hotter than the rest of it. Okay, I'm now going to put in that tree line. Okay, so let's grab some Viridian and add a little bit of red to it and yellow. And it needs more red to it. Viridian, when you mix it with yellow, it actually becomes very toxic. It kind of looks toxic, if you see what I mean. It looks acidic or something. So let's get some more green in there. And then I'm going to add a bit more blue and red to make a dark green. That'll be my sort of main shadow area. So there like that, going on there like that, there like that. Not being particularly true to the actual trees that are there. Might make that one a little bit larger there. There. And then coming up here and there like that. Okay. Okay, so I've got my trees in there. Now, before my brush gets too messy, I'm going to put in something for that sky. Okay, so I'm going to make I think I'll make a blue, cobalt blue and white. I'll just put a bit of red into it to make it slightly violet-y. Make sure I've got enough. Red. I'm just going to sort of put down lots and lots of strokes, because I'll be going over this again, just to get in the sky, because you know it's still an alla prima painting, so I want the whole thing to come forward more or less at the same time. Need to mix up some more. The other thing about having a restricted palette is it makes it much easier to remix paint if you need to get more paint, because there's only a couple of choices to make the mix from, so it's less confusing. If you can't remember if you used a warm red or a cool red, or etc. for your mix, that can become an added difficulty, because there are already things that mitigate against you painting, aren't there? Yeah, like the pinks coming up in there. That's nice. Put those in there. That's it. There. Okay, so we've got a kind of a sky in there. Let's try the foreground now, or the greens. So let's try that. Make some more of that viridian yellow mix. Put red into it. More yellow. Make sure I have enough. Okay, and then we can fill this area in the same fashion. Yeah, I was saying about children painting. You give them a box of crayons, or whatever it is that you give them, and they don't start sort of worrying about the temperatures and the transparency of the paints, or they just grab their favorite color and launch into whatever it is that they're doing. No fear. And it's trying to get some of that feeling back in your work, because if you don't, I suppose, then otherwise you start going off down a road of perfection, which you can't actually achieve, or recreating photographs in exactly the same way as they actually are, and that's frustrating two ways. If you can actually achieve it, it's frustrating, because all you've done is recreate a photograph, and if you can't, then it's just very frustrating because you can't do it. Let me continue. So I'm going to lighten up the green now. So I'm going to grab some more yellow, and I can put some red into it, and I'm going to start making some hue variations in that vegetation in the grass around it. And once again, when you're painting something like this, I think you should be sort of, you're in your studio like I am here painting this, but the viewer should not sort of know, preferably not know that you painted it in the studio. You've got to sort of emulate that sort of immediacy that you would get if you were actually standing there and you were actually being attacked by midges and mosquitoes sort of at the edge of this field, and you were actually hungry and thirsty, because you forgot your drink. So you paint fast. Okay. All right. So into the hayricks again. So some more yellow into that golden color. I'm going to add a little bit of blue into that, just make it slightly hay-like, and put in some tones there. Bring it up there like that. Bring the that hay. I'm not much of a farmer, am I? I'm not sure what that would be. It'd be hay or straw or something like that. That kind of straw look area there into the green. Into the green again, I'm going to grab some reds and mix that into my green. So, really quite red, and have those in just vertical strokes, because we're we're looking at a form of grass, I suppose. So your strokes can sort of tell the viewer that this is kind of standing grass, if you see what I mean. Yeah, I wouldn't make much of a farmer, would I? And in here too, that's not to forget that. Move that in there. Okay, I'm going to go back into the sky. I'm going to lighten up the sky as it comes towards the horizon. So a light blue. Need more white in that. Here we go. And then around here like that, and bring that in a little bit closer. And every time I put the a kind of a new layer down, the strokes are getting just that little bit smaller. Okay, into there like that. So you're building up this broken color effect bit by bit. And I was thinking of, because this, I did my training when I was a kid, like I joined an apprenticeship at 17 years old, and I went into the printing industry, and printing, the end I was in, is based around four colors, and all these continuous tone images that you see in magazines, newspapers, any printed material, it's all made up of dots, but they're tiny, so you don't read them as dots. And that's what the likes of the post-impressionists, Seurat, and all the people like the pointillists, and that's what they were. I'm sure they must have been influenced by the way science had gone in the world of print. So I thought the other day, I'd like to have an exhibition of this kind of work in our National Print Museum here in Dublin, and I think it'd be a good one. I can't be the first, but I mean, it would be nice to do one anyway, and do some of the work in actual printers' colours, which I use cobalt blue, but printers use cyan. I use permanent rose, but printers use magenta. So. But you can buy magenta oil paint. You can buy cyan oil paint. So it would be worth doing, I think. Let's go into that sort of straw-like triangle of tone behind the bales. The hayricks, the haycocks, or whatever they are. So up there like that. Put some dots in there, and in here too. Okay, and even in here, vary those around a bit. Okay, back into the trees. I want to get some green, because I'm bringing the whole thing forward together. That's the idea. A bit of white in that, yellow and red. Let's make a lighter natural green here. And then I can sort of say, the light's coming from the right, I think. So I can do something with those trees there. Around here. Get some shape on those trees there. All right, and then move away again. I want to have some really sort of straw-like colour. I'm going to use a bit of burnt sienna in this and a bit of white. And start putting in some strokes in this grassy area as well. And I'm bearing in mind, I'm trying to keep this warm. The whole painting is supposed to be warm. I don't want to use the kind of pallid look of the photograph. You know, and the photograph is sitting there looking at me, telling me to reproduce it, and I'm defying it really. And one of the ways of doing that is to you know, do the broken color bit. You know, there's lots of ways you can do that. You could, for example, paint the whole thing in, give yourself 15 minutes to paint it, or you can do it, count your strokes, that kind of way. All of those things will help you get away from the photograph. Right, I'm going to make a shadowed version for this haycock here. Let's make it a bit more red. Same with this one here. And there should be a cast shadow as well. There, that small one in the distance. And then there's the very seldom used pathway by the looks of things. It doesn't have much traffic, so it's getting overgrown with grass. And then the pathway disappears. We don't want it to sort of go all the way up to the trees, because you've got to leave some room for the viewer to walk off themselves and wonder where it goes. Back to the sky. And now I want some pinks in the sky, so I'm going to mix up some permanent rose and white, roughly to the same tonal value as the blue. Because I like scintillating skies. And you can sort of suggest that there are clouds there without actually painting clouds, I think. People read into your painting things that you kind of know aren't there, but you don't tell people that. You just let them get on with it. You don't sort of tread on their dreams. And I like making the viewer work as much as I'm working. Okay, so strokes are getting smaller now, and more numerous actually. But that's the thing. When it kind of gets to this stage, for me, it starts getting into the realms of the therapeutic, you know, where you just go off in a kind of a reverie, and time passes. Time stands still, actually, sort of for a while, and you know, next thing is you come to, and you've been painting for 4 hours, that type of thing. I don't know what your experiences are, but that would be mine anyway. So now I'm starting to get into the realm of the playful, you know. So I like to delineate things. So I'm going to put a line around that hayrick. This will start me off on where I want to sort of go. And using the red kind of makes the painting hotter, which is what I want. Put in some there like that. So you're telling a story, actually, rather than just painting a thing. And nobody, once you get into the realms of imagination, nobody can criticize you really, because it's your imagination. How the hell does anyone else know what's going on in your head? And you know, and you're talking about talking about the realm of dreams, really. What do I wish it was like? Where would I like to be? Where was I once that I'm trying to recapture? So now I'm going to get some really quite vivid reds as well, and put them in the grass too. And because I've got a big green block there, a lot of the work is done for me. I'm trying not to disturb the paint that's already there. So I'm loading up the brush and just leaving the paint on, really. Yeah. And the funny thing is that normally, left to my own devices, I could be very somber in my painting, I think. You know, lots of heavy dark shadows and, you know, rich colors, but quite a lot of darkness, I think. I don't mean sort of psychological darkness, but maybe there is something psychological going on there. I don't know, but I'm a kind of, I can be quite a somber individual at times, I think. And maybe a bit of an introvert. Just my wife sort of asked me that the other day. Do you think you're an introvert? To be honest, I don't know. I'm going to change my brush now. So back to the sky, I think. So I'm going to make a warm pink. Okay, so that's what I made before was just a white and permanent rose mix, and now I'm mixing yellow into that same pink, adding white, and that will give me a warm pink. I'm going to bring that down towards the horizon. And I think this is a very cautious way of painting. It actually does allow you to make marks and not commit thoroughly, I suppose, which is kind of a nice way to approach things, especially if you're not confident in how to do it in the first place. You don't have to commit absolutely all the time, and you can sort of back off and rework an area. And let's see, just put that up here. I can give the kind of impression that there are clouds just by sort of grouping some of the dabs together a bit more. This brush is a number 2, it says, but it's another short, flat, bright synthetic brush. At this size, synthetic brushes work very well. So, I mean, that's just what is it, a 12 by 10 linen canvas board. Linen board. Because it isn't canvas if it's linen, is it? Okay, so got that there. Maybe I can put in a little bit of description here. Get those trees. I don't really want to over describe the trees, but I'll put in a bit in there. Let's grab a bit of blue as well. In there. Okay. Now, let's make up a little bit of a cold blue. So blue and white, more intense than that. So it's kind of a mid blue. So cobalt and white. And put in some areas of shadow. And do it for all of them. And have the cast shadows. And then I can put some of that in the trees as well, just at the base of the trees. So you get a nice vivid dark blue shadow. All along there, all along the tree line. Okay, where else can I do it? Well, if the light's coming from the right, maybe I could sort of do a few of those strokes down here as well. And in here, and do you know what? In there, I'm going to make them more purpley, so I'm going to add a bit of red to the blue. It's hard to get down at the that ledge between the. I've got the canvas sort of sitting on a ledge of wood, a bit of a kind of a baton just put underneath it. It kind of makes it hard to get the brush into that corner. Just putting some random little dabs along there. Let's delineate that a little bit more. Now I want to go back into the sky. So I'm going to mix up a kind of an orange, I think, a kind of an orangey bright. Just then pale it back with a bit of white. Okay. My strokes are quite small now. The whole thing is an optical illusion, like all print. All four-color printing of photographs is an optical illusion. So you're looking at loads of dots, it's just that you can't see them. And my aim is to heat up the painting to make it a sunny environment where the sky is shimmering. I think I was saying that last week, is that when you're out in very, very hot environments, it becomes hard to look at things, and there is a kind of a shimmering that starts occurring. You can see that up there. So I can sort of intimate that there are clouds, suggest that they're there, just by having random or hues in the sky. in kind of in groups, without actually without bashing home the idea that they are clouds by over describing them. And there too. Okay, back to the greens. I'm going to lighten up that green again. Just go again a bit further. And these strokes are smaller as well, so they're making the whole thing sort of appear random. I'm going to put some in here as well, not to let that part of the field get away with it. Let me see this one here. So let's go down to this area here. It's been neglected a bit after me saying that I was bringing everything forward at the same time, and then yeah, so let's really go pale with that. And then go back in with the green. I'm not paying particular attention or respect to the actual patches of grass. I'm just putting in the idea that there are patches of grass because it's a seldom used pathway. Let me see, back into the sky again, I think. Let me just put in some kind of a lavendery kind of color. I like multicolored skies, multicolored clouds. There, let's see how this works. That's not enough. A bit more red into that. Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah. And I just place them randomly around, so just in such a way as to just make the sky more interesting and have that kind of shimmering effect. There's an exhibition of the women impressionists in the Irish National Gallery at the moment, which I must go along to it. So they've got Berta Morisot and Mary Cassatt. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name, but the one person they don't have is Suzanne Valadon, who's my favourite. Suzanne Valadon was the woman that appears in a couple of the paintings, I think, certainly by Renoir, but she appears in lots of the paintings as a model. And I saw her work in Lille in northern France last year, and it was just wonderful. And she wasn't painting until until she brought her drawings into the lads, Renoir and all that, who said, you should be painting. And that's how she got going, which is great. And I love the way that Van Gogh would just sort of put little strokes in just for effect. Because he really was putting his dreams down on canvas. And I think, am I right in saying that he did all his work within 10 years? That's extraordinary. The thing about this palette as well, it's worth noting, is that all the colours are cool, apart from burnt sienna. And so when you want to warm something up, you have to put blue and yellow into it. Mix the red and yellow into whatever it is that you want to go warm. Just the feature of the palette that I used. All palettes have, different characters. Maybe. Some red in the trees. And I'm just going to put in some really light, what would you call it? Straw colour, I suppose, in here. In a quite a gratuitous manner. Because it's the painting that's important, not the veracity. Put one in there so that I can define that distant haycock. Oh yeah, I don't like that. There's a tangent going on that I hadn't seen just until now. That red comes down off the haycock and then into the field. I don't want that. Maybe just put in some little description there. And maybe into that one as well. Because all you're doing is telling people that there's a haycock there. You're not telling them that it's that particular haycock. That's the childlike thing about it, is that they'll draw a house which is a box with 4 sort of other boxes in it, which are windows. And that's all you need to know. It's a bit like medieval art, I suppose. The king is big. Everyone else, little. Bishops and knights, a bit bigger. With the important things big. Yeah, so there you go. I'm going to just turn that around. Teacher? Does that sort of, that would do there. And the whole idea is that it's not a dull photograph